and it has a pretty decent sized screen, and it's a cell phone, so it makes it almost hidden. So you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. So obviously you know we're looking for cold spots because you already kind of told me you've seen some cold anomalies out of that other camera.
I felt them too.
Oh, you felt them too?
Yeah.
So, well, when you have a 10-degree temperature drop, that's usually, you feel that as well. I normally look for 15+ degree temperature drops. So it is about 64 degrees for us out here ambient for us. So that means I'm going to be looking for 49 degrees and colder coming out of the blue dot. I have a blue dot bouncing around the screen showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So I look for those 15+ degree temperature drops, and I don't want it to stand still because we're always going to have cold spots. It's cold out here. It's a little chilly for us. So the windshields and glass and windows, aluminum cans and signs are all going to be cold, and they don't move. So I want that 49 degrees or colder to kind of dance around the screen a little bit. So that's what I'm looking for when I spot check it. But to make this a little bit more extreme, the blue and black areas are going to be the coldest spots, but I want them to take shape or to move around on their own. When I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms and legs. That's what we've caught with this guy in the past. That's hopefully what we'll capture with it again. I also love to give you stats because a lot of you guys watch the TV shows and YouTube and you get this high anticipation of things. I capture about 4 to 5 pieces on this guy per year that I would put my stamp of approval on, not per episode. So again, not a TV show host, not a YouTuber, getting the point. So this particular camera is super fun to watch. We're going to use it for about halfway through the night, and then we're going to swap out cameras just based off of the type of ghost that we're going to be using or we're looking for after that. So I kind of like to swap things out based on the type of ghost that we're looking at. So with this one,
I guess my belly turned it off.
It was actually acting pretty finicky with the weather last week, and I was hoping that was going to stop.
I got the word sweet home.
Sweet home. I'll write that one down.
Sweet home.
I would say about every 3 minutes, just hit the stop button and start it back up again, just to make sure we don't lose footage. That group last night lost quite a bit of footage just because it kept being a little too big. Yeah, I saw that.
So we should kind of wander,
and I'll do round robins with everybody to kind of see what's going on.
The wall.
Original? No.
I think it would be better.
It's only the property line at this point, and it actually kind of helps us. Like, you have to imagine, if I have 10 people, I have to do round robins with 10 people in the same space, so it kind of keeps us all corralled in, which is kind of nice. I know it seems like an odd space, but this is probably one of the most haunted spaces I've ever been. I could write a book just on what happened here, like as far as paranormal activity. Like,
okay.
Like not their history, but stuff I found at this location.
So walk around asking what questions?
What happened to the mansion? When did that happen? And then make sure you're paying attention to your red screen because that's probably where you're going to get most of your evidence from. Okay, let's scramble. Yeah, so every couple of minutes, just hit that stop button and then start it back up again. I'm not missing all the different aspects. Like last night, I think they only had like 15 or 17 minutes worth of footage when we should have technically had closer to 40.
So should I kind of keep it pointed towards them?
I usually tell people try to keep a person in view because we're always the warmest thing out here, and it gives you a nice heat reference for when something cold goes by. And to also try to keep the sky out of view. Do you see where the blue dot is right now?
Yeah.
There's no surface on the sky. It only reads surface temperature. So it defaults to the sky every time. There you go. That's a perfect shot.
So she's not alone. 59, 50.
But it's always going to show you the cold spot. So it doesn't mean that it's a ghost. It just means that it's the coldest spot in the frame. So that way we can kind of see what's going on. It's ambient between 62 to 64 degrees out here for us.
I've felt the cold spot in that building, the old terminal building.
Yeah. I would love for you guys, like I would love to go through it myself and kind of see, like, I mean, for as much activity as you guys have come to me with, I would love to see like what the hell's actually going on in there.
There are several confirmed deaths in that building.
Okay.
Not all of them good.
Understood.
There was a grease fire or a fire in a kitchen, which is in the basement, which is where they used to do all the food prep for the restaurants. There was a death there. There was somebody who hung themselves in a water closet, like a janitor's mop closet.
Okay.
And then there was the old guy who had a heart attack, and there's some other one too. And the guy in the basement, the first one who died, I think they said it was a grease fire or kitchen fire. He's not happy. He's the one I stepped in. It was like a 20, 30 degree cold spot. It went from, because it was in the middle of summer, and I went straight, just chills. Like I'd stepped into a cooler. And he turned my flashlight off.
Okay.
I had a brand new, fully charged Streamlight flashlight,
Yeah.
police issue.
Yeah.
And you had to step into the room, you have to look, you have to kind of step in, and there's like a little cut in the corner, because we have to clear that basement every morning, because every night when we lock up the building, they put there weren't homeless people sleeping in there. So you have to go in the room a little bit. I never liked going in there. But you have to step in just far enough so you can get your flashlight beam around that corner. And I stepped into that cold spot, and I felt like a massive drop in temperature. The flashlight turns off. Remember, it's got a thumb button on the back. My thumb is not on it. So I was like, okay. And I immediately felt like I didn't need to be there anymore. So I have the holster for the flashlight it's just a loop.
Okay.
So there's nothing to push the button. I put it back in. I step out of the room. I start walking out. And that's when I noticed that the flashlight is now shining on the ceiling. It's turned back on
again.
Yeah.
So, the only explanation I could probably have for any of that is the battery was drained at that point because something was sucking on it for life.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you walked away from whatever was sucking on it, went away
Right.
and brought the battery juice back to the light portion of it itself. So the energy was redirected back to the light again.
Yeah.
But again, the flashlight test that she mentioned before, like,
Yeah, he did that too. He kind of got it right onto the.
and that's why I don't do it. Again, it's too.
But he set it down on top of one of the big, mash valves. So he didn't hold it in his hand. He set it down.
Yeah.
And he said,
Again, it's also that transfer of power through the coils of whatever is running that battery. Of whatever their claim is. Oh no, we don't let investigators in here to do that. So I have to go in and rent the room and ask for it, and not tell them what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just because they don't want me to debunk what the hell is going on in that location.
Well, she's been trying to get that bearded ghost hunter guy to come up. She goes to Catawba College, which is in Salisbury,
Okay.
and apparently the theater is haunted. Everybody thinks theaters are haunted, but
Raised emotion. That's why.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to be looking up that bearded ghost guy. I want to know what the hell he's up to and what kind of equipment he's running. If
Yeah.
he's doing something similar to mine. I try to stay on top of what everybody else has got, so I can kind of see what tactics are they using, and see if what their tactics are actually work.
The best part about it is they have really good whiskey there, and before you meet up in the gift shop, so they have a little bar set up where you get to have some of their whiskeys.
Sounds like a damn good time to me.
Yeah, whiskey and ghost hunting.
Yeah. All right, Mom.
I've had a couple of spots where it would jump up to 3.5, but then go back to 0.
Okay. That's a good thing.
Let's see. And then
Anything higher than that 3.5?
3.5 to 3.7.
Okay.
Control, driveway, concern, ball, and Olympic.
Lost.
I asked if there was a party or a ball in the mansion.
I got 20,
Okay.
and I also think I got Charles and Ashley.
Ashley. You know, the river's named after somebody.
Yeah. Well, it is the
Yeah.
West Ashley River.
Yeah.
It's actually part of the history of this location, is the Ashley River, so it's very interesting. So ball on Olympic, I'm not sure if Big John was in the Olympics.
Oh.
So it's an interesting piece because the number 20 was his first jersey number. So I'm seeing more things relevance to Big John at this point, more so than we are. I know you're
Okay.
thinking of a ball, the old
Yeah,
fancy elegant
yeah,
ball, because of who we're discussing now. But
Right.
that's why you guys keep me around, is because I think further outside the box. I know we're in close proximity to John, so hopefully we have something going really, really low for this location.
Okay.
Again, I still want you guys to have you heard anything else specific that really stood out to you besides the number 20?
It was specifically 20 years.
Okay. So with the speed of the spirit box the way it is now, if you were to ask what color is a big red barn and you heard Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we have our answer. We just don't need all the gobbledygook before and after. So I'm still going to write down 20 years as the phrase that you heard, just to
Yeah.
kind of prove the point in your notes of hey, 20 was Big John's first jersey number. So again, it's still a good thing. You have to look at it as not so much the context that they're saying it on the radio,
Yeah.
but what is the context to the location.
Well, because also we were talking about age, so I don't know if maybe 20 years had something to do with her or the marriage.
The marriage question, and I can see where you're going with it, but it's just the wrong answer.
Okay.
So, Again, more things to me are leading to Big John more so than Eliza. And last night's readings on this guy were pretty low, and I was the
Okay.
one using it. So, I mean, for me to come back to the guests that were using the other equipment and say, I'm not getting much readings of what I normally expect out of this space, I called it like pretty early. Like I only did like 2 round robins with them, like let them kind of explore it again. So we're going to do one more to see if you can get that thing to go
Okay.
any higher.
So when I got the 3.5, there were 2 different locations. Like one was right up here, kind of like 10 feet in front of us over, and then by that other light. Which when those lights came on, I was like,
They're motion
"Makes
lights.
their
Ew.
I know,
I was
figured
like,
that out. But I don't know if that makes a difference on the readings.
So not necessarily, because it's different in here every single time.
Right,
I never
okay.
know where it's going to be.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, the highest readings I've ever seen of that millimeter in my 15 years of doing this have come from this location.
Okay.
So for you to tell me a 3.7 is the highest thing you've seen so far, like I'm highly disappointed. Just because, yeah, and I'm really disappointed because it's the month of December. There's a lot of like anniversary things in the month of December for this family.
I keep getting love.
I'm not surprised by that either. I'm going to write that one down for sure, because that's always the theme of this location.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, specifically love songs, and then it's like the word love
The
is
word
usually
love
in it.
is a theme, so I'll definitely write that one down for sure. I mean, we're on the right path. We're doing all of the right things. Obviously, the camera, we're taking our steps to make sure we're getting a lot of footage because the camera's being a little faulty. But he's also being very still, which is great. You don't want somebody making the Blair Witch Project over again because they want to cover the whole space. You want to keep somebody in view. You want to try to keep this guy out. So we've already discussed those things. You'll hear it on the audio as we kind of go through. So I would say let's continue on. Let's see what else we can get out of it, and then we'll do another 3 to 5 minutes, I guess, into the spot and see what we can get. If nothing happens, we'll wrap it up and I'll give you the answers.
So, I got the how old she was, how'd she die, and which president, but what was the 4th question?
Where she's buried,
Where she's buried. Okay.
which is an interesting answer when you get it. Because again, this is how I learn about this stuff, by the way. I don't like just research, oh, this was this location. No, I always walk into a space with like very minimal knowledge, and then
she's got to be buried somewhere important, though.
maybe
Or
not.
maybe she's just buried somewhere totally random.
Right.
And
Could
it's
be
like,
either way.
wow.
So
This is why I
you
don't take notes.
research your answers. You
Correct.
research the information.
I
That way
got
I'm
the
not
word
biased
party.
looking for
What
it.
about hair?
I just got the word party.
Party, hair party.
So hair,
Because we were
conflict,
talking about
rise,
balls.
We were.
control, driveway. The ones that have come up since we stopped and stood here is hair, conflict, and rise.
It's too much of a vague story that I would have to like connect the dots.
Email.
To say email? Yeah, definitely.
Email.
I don't think I've ever seen that on there. That's funny. But I'll be writing down the word party for sure. And love. Love party.
Love party. Whoop. Love party.
Oh, you also heard Charles too. So.
Yeah.
So when it goes up like that with the activity, does that mean it's just picking up more?
It's just,
yeah.
it's recognizing a word and building the anticipation for you.
Present.
It also growls at us. We don't need the growl. It's bullshit. It's just, that's the element that is there to try to scare you.
Okay.
I want it for the word dictionary. There's
Gotcha.
a million of these word generator apps out there. This is the biggest dictionary I could find. Most
Right.
of them are about 500 to 2,000. This is 9,000.
Yeah.
So again, it doesn't seem like that's still a whole lot, but it does give us way more than a 500 word dictionary.
I'm gonna go this way and
Okay.
come back and kind of make a U. Although I didn't really go to the center.
Okay. It's, again, I'm not going to direct you. You guys go wherever you want to go. Just stay in space. And then, of course, did you get a chance to try a spirit box at the last location or at the other distillery thing that you guys did? Or was that somebody else's like private spirit box?
I think the spirit box was. She says it was somebody else's. I don't know who had. I just knew what equipment was there. Well, I recognized some of it. I don't know who owned what.
Gotcha. And I've been invited to events from other like friends of mine in different states because I have equipment and I can like add to whatever their event is. So it might have been somebody like that as well.
Like that one with the
I
lines.
got Chuck.
Chuck.
Yeah.
That one with the lines. That one camera.
Mm-hmm.
I know that wasn't the Bearded Ghost Hunter guys. That was the people who came along because we were down on one end of the Rick house and he was looking. We were looking up and seeing the stuff, and then we went back over to him. They were doing something else on the other end of the Rick house, and we said, "Hey, there's." He's like, "Oh yeah, they climb." He's like, "They climb across."
So when you say
tops."
Rick House, are we talking about a bunch of poles, like that are kind of up? That's what I'm picturing.
No. A Rick house, like it's with regards to bourbon, and it's where they have the racks of the barrels of bourbon.
Okay.
the big bourbon barrels.
Okay, so they're
And
on. You said they're on racks though.
They're on racks that are, I think, like 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 high.
Okay.
And then there's just huge racks with barrels of bourbon.
So what are the racks made out of?
Wood.
And so it's like beams, I'm guessing. So
Yeah.
like 2x4s.
Yeah.
Right?
And then there's the big barrels laying on their side.
So what they're claiming is that they're climbing the racks of the barrels.
They're up on top.
They're
He
on
says
top.
he says they're up on top. You can hear them running across, and he's like, it's not rats. They don't
Yeah.
have rats in there.
Okay.
He said it's them. And
I would want to see, because with that SLS camera, I would want to see if it's picking up just on the racks to 2x4s, because it'll do that.
no, it was clearly on top,
On the
like
top,
the
okay.
top layer.
It's good.
So there wasn't, the beams had stopped, and
Love it.
so the barrels
Yeah.
probably about this big around, and so the beam comes up only to a certain level at that
Nice.
on that top
Nice.
level.
Okay.
And they were on top of the
I
barrels,
like it. Nice.
crawling on top of the barrels.
Okay. Nice. I
Which
just
was-
bragged about what great footage you were getting. You just did this whole demonstration.
Oh, well.
It's your fault on it.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
fine.
they were crawling on top of the barrels, and one was actually crouched in the corner, and then
Kind of peeking over.
peeking over, and then scampered away and up, like the stick figure scampered away and then disappeared.
Nice.
And then another one came in,
Yeah, I'd like to see that footage.
and he was like, yeah, that makes sense. He was telling us they all don't like each other.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker of the thing is that prison specifically, because it was a minimum security prison, it was built during Prohibition. North Carolina was big for bootleg and whiskey runners.
See where
so
it's going.
A lot of the guys in that jail were there for moonshining,
Fair.
and
So-
now they're using that jail as a distillery.
It's a big mockery. I can
It
see where they're
is.
kind of pissed off about it.
It is. So
Other people, yeah, I hear other people talking.
yeah.
All right, let's see what they got, and we'll wrap this one up. If they don't they're not screaming at me that everything's super great. Carolyn, what do we got?
I got Jesus.
Okay, you're in the Holy City. You're gonna get a lot of that.
Yeah.
I usually don't write down a whole lot of that, especially on Sundays, because again, Holy City, we're gonna have a lot of evangelists. You normally don't start hearing a lot of the religious type phrasing until we get closer to St. Philip's. That's usually where we guys really pick up on that, and I definitely don't write it down because it's just kind of coming off the vibe of the church. But this was a religious family, so I just stopped writing down like the religious Jesus Bible, that priest, that kind of stuff. Just because I was like, oh great, we got all this religious value stuff, but then it's like it's overbearing because it happens so often, too easy to grab. All right, let's see what Mom got, and then we're gonna cover the answers. Let's actually, Tonya, come on over. We're gonna wrap this one up. We're gonna see.
I got a 6.3
Okay, it's a little better.
What'd you get?
6.3.
Oh.
and a troll. I'm a troll.
Ah, rude.
All right, you can hit stop on your cam.
Can you hold this for just a second?
Sure.
Looking for.
Looking for. So we don't hear from Harriet very often because she probably finds something up in Myrtle Beach where she lived. And again, not a 2.5-hour car ride for Eliza to
Oh,
go up and see
no.
her daughter. So lots of letter writing. If we hear from Harriet, which isn't very often, we'll get things like letter, quill, ink, paper, anything dealing with letter writing between her and her mom. So those are the types of things wrapped around Harriet, if we get anything at all. Eliza's death, your major focus. She was 70 years old when she passed away. That's a long time to be living back in the 1700s.
This is the second Eliza.
Second, yes. She died in 1793. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had, and it turned out to be breast cancer.
Oh.
We didn't know what that was in that year, 1793. We're going based off her medical records. Now, that should raise two questions in the back of your brain because she died up there, and she's buried up there. So those two questions should be baby George. If my theory is right, they're moving his tomb from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's a long trek. It's going to be at least 3 weeks long, and somebody's going to die of dysentery if you remember the game Oregon Trail. Try to point it on the outside of our little circle here. In the event that other tours come through here or any just regular visitor tourists, we're just going to lower the camera and we'll kind of let them pass by us and we'll continue on. So welcome to Philadelphia Alley. You guys all read the damn sign. Remember, we're just here to stir shit up because this guy's going to follow us over to the next spot. This place used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Every ghost tour comes down here. That's the reason why I was going to take it out of my route, but I realized with my old route, he was following us literally from all the locations because we were always near a place of raised emotion for him. So here's how his story goes. It's very, I shouldn't say short and simple, but you'll see why we're here with this particular device in a moment. Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while you're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time, just so you know. But anyway, Doc moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a lot of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of that doctor fella. So he moves here to Charleston from Rhode Island. So on his way into town, he had a coachman that set him up to be robbed and killed. It's like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. Sorry, I get a lot of like regular teenagers, not as old as you, and I always have to explain what that is because they don't know what the hell a coachman is. I hope you guys appreciate the layman terms. But anyway, somebody was walking by and seen what was about to happen to the newcomer because he knew the coachman. Well, the person walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. Did his initials sound familiar to anything else I've said since we've been
Rhode
here?
Island.
Exactly, good job. With the initials RI, we were getting it all the time, like somebody was spelling something out for us. So I was like, all right, who's it relevant to, the doctor or Ralph? So I bought another device. It's called an Envoy. It's basically a digital Ouija board. So anytime there's an EMF reading, like Mom's device, it gives us a letter. So we've had the letters RI several times in the year and a half that I had it. We're not using it tonight because I broke it a few weeks ago, trying to repair it because somebody dropped it. So I'm waiting on the insurance to, get the point. Refund me back on that so I can buy another one. But anyway, moving on. So Ralph tells the doctor, hey man, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Just come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. They will rent you a room and you will be safe. Doc took him up on the offer and they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, he starts his medical practice here. He's doing pretty well for himself, making his own money. Well, Amanda got wind of this and she wrote to him and said, I'm on my way so we can be married. Got something?
No, it's background noise just picked up.
Okay.
I don't know if something.
No, there's
An air conditioning unit this way.
it just kicked into like a higher gear.
The second you jumped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the only reason I asked is because, we'll just say 4 or 5 nights ago, it was really quiet down here. No AC units were running, and all of a sudden the person listening, jumped 10 feet. None of us heard anything. So when I went back to the recording, she said that she heard like a shuffling sound, like somebody walking behind her, and I caught it on the audio. So none of us heard it in real time. So I was super excited about that. Moving on. So I was like, what did you got?
Well, I'm trying to listen to the background because when the air conditioner did.
It gets pretty intense. You guys will be able to test that out once we're getting things wrapped up here anyway. So again, it's pretty cool. So anyway, she's moving down so they can be married, and Dr. Ladd became known as the whistling doctor. Also the reason why I was going to take this out of my route. So the reason, again, every ghost tour comes down here and they all tell their guests to listen to the whistles while they're there. It's not always a catch in real time with your own ears. So it can be from devices like this or my voice recorder. You guys are getting the point. But it's also a giant cliche. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. This one just happens to be a doctor. So why are we in Dueler's Alley talking about a happy guy? Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He got better seats. So they go see Richard III one night, and they're walking home talking about the new actress they just saw. Doc thought she was great. Ralph didn't. They start arguing, and then Ralph is insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly, and they go their separate ways. The next day, Ralph went to his friends at the newspaper, and he placed an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thought of the doctor. Kind of like a you're a disgrace to society kind of bullshit. Well, Doc saw the ad in the paper, of course he did, because the population's pretty low, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. So, they came down here, and they went back to back, took their 10 paces, and they turned, and Doc pointed his gun in the air and shot his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend. Just needed the courage to show up. That's often what happened at a duel back then in the 1700s, by the way. Ralph had his one bullet still, and he put it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die. He fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He died 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. Two things about that last statement. First off, it's 1786. Gunshot wounds back then are a lot different than what we know of them now. Secondly, he is a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but he failed because he died. So like I said, every ghost story tells you to listen for the whistles. If you're going to do this on your own, because I can't take you all the way through here, we're getting to that because yes, that's the funny part. Again, it's residential down at the end. We're going to get to the point while we're here. But use the voice recorders from your phone and see if you get anything in the background. Just remember, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley. I can't even drive past this place. I've been down here so much that I throw a whistle down here. It's just something we do. So let's talk about how I got kicked out of here. It'll also show you how much research I go into this to verify some of the little pieces of evidence that actually start to come through. The alley didn't go all the way through the way we came in. There used to be a wall up there, about halfway between us and Cumberland Street, right around where that little doorway is to the building for the light beam. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because they started down on Queen Street side, and they, over the couple of 100 years that we're standing on now, built it. Those are older bricks than what you're standing on. Those bricks down there are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There is a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks down there, and I used to take my groups all the way through for a history lesson. There's nothing paranormal about that brick. You know how I feel about cemeteries. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. That's the last place you're going to find him. One night, November 26th, 2020, my entire group of 10 stops and they huddle around the damn brick, waiting for something to happen with all the equipment that I handed out that night. Nothing is happening, and I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen. We're also standing outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful, not realizing we were out of bounds for tours. I was new at this. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming his head off. My daughter was on the tour that night. She was about 14 at the time, and she was laughing hysterically as she watched her father getting yelled at by another person. She thought it was great. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on holidays, especially Thanksgiving. I used to work in upper management for Walmart. You guys fight over towels on Thanksgiving, and you scarred me for life. I will never tour on another holiday again. The next day was the 28th. I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened, because he's the guy that dragged me into this, getting me away from my good, solid retail career. And I'm trying to figure out what to do next. He laughed at me because he already got the complaint and said, you're not allowed to go down that far. You're only allowed to go down about halfway, reroute your group. And he hung up the phone. So I went, well, shit. That night, I'm sold out again. It's Black Friday. I told my group of 10 that I don't believe in the next story. I'm into vampires, not pirates. I would normally tell you a pirate story next, but that's another space that they're rezoning and we're not allowed in there anymore. But if I tell you that we're going to be discussing pirates in Charleston, who's the first pirate you think of?
Blackbeard.
Thank you for naming an actual pirate.
History major.
Right, most people say Jack Sparrow, believe it or not. I know. It's ridiculous. But anyway, if I tell you, again, Blackbeard, it should be forefront of your mind. Somebody heard the name Anne coming out of a spirit box. I didn't tell them it was going to be Anne Bonny, the female pirate. So I was kind of like, oh, shit, maybe we're going to get something. I took them up around the corner, I told them what I did know about pirates, which wasn't much at the time, and somebody else on a different spirit box heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. I wrote it down. I did the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. We had other things happen that night, but that was the most significant for me to say, oh shit. Like, I was pissed. I'm an English guy. I already told you that. Trying to find, like, anytime you guys heard something out of the pirate location, I had to read like 5 textbooks and watch 3 documentaries to try to verify one small piece of evidence. However, I did come up with a great story for over there. We just can't go in that space anymore because it belongs to somebody else. So,
What space is that?
What's that?
What space is that?
It's the parking lot next to the Powder Magazine, but it's owned by St. Philip's Church, and they put a cutoff to tours even cutting through them, even though it's wide open. I know, super silly. Pissed me right off. So what happened was I had to replace that story rather quickly, because that happened March, April of this year. So I replaced it with a story that everybody tells, but I hate the story because it's cursed. So I replaced that story with another one that I'm looking into so I can get more information from it. So when we get up and around the corner, I'm going to replace your camera with a different one, show you how it works, because there's more operational pieces other than one little. We're going to be definitely listening in on that spirit box and seeing what else is going on with the other devices. So at this point, did you hear anything in the background that wasn't normal? Anybody else want to give that thing a listen before I pack it away? Because this is the only stop that we use it at.
I do.
I figured as much. So just slide down your headphones of what you're using and take the one Monji that had on. Just be careful, like when you're holding the actual voice recorder, it will give feedback if it's too close to the headphone.
Okay.
It's pretty intense. So it's
I tried to listen.
I know,
so
but
was hoping
I do
for
listen.
footsteps or something.
But I listen to the whole recording anyway. So even if you miss it, that's the one thing I listen to from start to finish.
Jacob.
Yeah, let's see what else you got going on there. Since you packed everything up. Allie. property. I like Allie. I think that's pretty specific.
What? Cholesterol. That's
He
funny.
was a doctor.
Well, we also don't know if he, if somebody else
Did
here
they
died
know
of a heart attack.
Did they know what cholesterol was back in the
He
1700s?
was a doctor.
But did they know what cholesterol was?
Maybe.
Property, Liberty, Jacob.
But obviously she has Philadelphia. You have the word Allie. This is me excited again.
Do we know the name of the coachman?
No, I looked
I just
into
got
it.
Zoe.
I don't know that she would be down this far. We'll see what else pops up with that. She does wander. I just don't know that she would come over here.
Alright.
I even looked into the last name of the fiance, Amanda, and I can't find it. I also looked into the actress that they were arguing over and can't find the name of the actress. Looked into the different plays that they were allegedly watching. Most accounts of this story say it was Richard III, and that's a Shakespearean play. And let's face it, if you go, with the 1400s, all of the parts were played by men. So if they're arguing over an actress, kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Probably a dude.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of like weird things that are faulty in the story, but it is a few hundred years old. So things are gonna. What do you got now?
Businessman?
It's very vague. I don't like it. There are other things about Dr. Ladd that I'm not telling you. Other, I guess, attributes of him that I just wait for them to pop up.
I just burped.
I heard that.
I'm sorry, you reacted, so I thought you should know.
No, I
That's
thought maybe check behind me. I don't know. There's numbers here.
So I tried like recording the entire tour with that voice recorder, and it took like a ridiculous amount of time to upload because the file is giant. So that's why we only do it for a short amount of time. So Mark, did you want to give that thing a quick listen?
Sure.